Hello, people. Welcome to another episode of Grand Football TV. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, guys, especially when you're watching from YouTube or if you're watching from TikTok or Instagram. Please don't forget to like as well. So you're welcome to another episode, guys. Today, we're looking at game week 35, guys. Woo! Game week 35. And the running is well and truly in. Arsenal, they had to do their job last week. They beat Wolverhampton and they beat Chelsea to keep their hopes alive. And Liverpool, they were able to beat Fulham, but unable to beat Everton, their rivals. And everyone hoped Man City would slip up against Brighton, but they did the job comfortably. So the running is well and truly still in place. It might now be a two-horse race. We don't know. This weekend might decide what's happening, because this weekend, if these teams don't win their games, it could turn around again. But at the moment, Arsenal have the upper hand as they sit top, albeit with one game more. And Man City coming down like sharks as usual. Right behind with 1 point. You know, they're 1 point behind, but with a game in hand. So they have the advantage. They win their game, they go top. So yeah, that's where we are with the league at the moment. What are your thoughts, guys? Who do you think is going to win this league? Let me know. Do you think it's Arsenal? Do you think it's Manchester City going for a fourth title? Yeah? Or do you think it's Liverpool giving Klopp a good farewell? But we will see at the end of this season. So let's look now at game week 35 and the games that we have to watch out for this weekend. Okay, the first game we will talk about is West Ham. West Ham versus Liverpool. West Ham versus Liverpool. Liverpool with the early kickoff on Saturday. They would want to quickly make amends after that bad performance against their derby neighbors, Everton. They would definitely want to win that game against West Ham. But West Ham as well would have something to say about that, because they're playing at home and they didn't have a good showing in their last game where they lost to Crystal Palace. So they would want to make sure they get back to winning ways. Obviously, they're out of Europe as well. Well, both teams are out of Europe now, so they would want to focus on finishing as high as they can in the league. So West Ham, you would imagine, would want to right the wrong from their last game, but so much so Liverpool. So this game is going to be a very, very tough one to call. But because of what Liverpool's fighting for, and obviously trying to let everyone know they're still in this race, I think Liverpool would try and make sure they win this game. So I'm going for a Liverpool win. A Liverpool win. And then we have Fulham. Fulham versus Crystal Palace. This is a London derby. Fulham playing at home, but Crystal Palace are in such rich vein of form. Mateta scoring goals. Eze back in great form. Olise back in the team. Are you also there? Guys, Crystal Palace are looking deadly. And they'll be buoyed by the fact that they went away to Anfield and they won last time. So this time they think because they don't have to travel far, they will definitely win against Fulham. Fulham, not so great lately. They lost the last game to Liverpool. So this one, they would want to bounce back in this game. But it's a very tricky one to call. But I'm going to call a draw in this one. I'm going to call a draw. Both teams to draw. And then we look at the next game. Man United versus Burnley. Man United would quickly want to make sure they get back into winning ways after that horrific show in the FA Cup. Albeit they went through, but they know deep down that that wasn't a great performance. And obviously they had a quick game which they won, but then again you could see the cracks. A good team would have been able to beat them against Sheffield United, but Sheffield United played very well but fell short due to some individual brilliance from Bruno Fernandes. So yeah, Man United against Burnley. Burnley, they play different from Sheffield, so you would think that because they are more attacking side, they would probably give Man United more problems. They would cause them more problems. But I still think because of that horrific show in the FA Cup, from here on in, they'll probably want to make sure they're winning their games. So I would go with a slim Man United win. Maybe a 2-1 or 3-1, that would be the result for me. And then we look at Newcastle. Newcastle will be playing Sheffield United. Newcastle would want to bounce back and get a win after their bad showing in their last game against Crystal Palace where they lost 2-0. So I reckon this game they would want to make sure, especially in front of their home fans, we want to make sure they give them something to cheer about. So I'm going for a Newcastle win against Sheffield United. And then Wolverhampton will play Luton. Wolverhampton versus Luton. Well, Luton haven't been great lately, and so has Wolverhampton. They've lost their last 2 games. They lost to, and both of them were at home as well. They lost to Arsenal at home. They lost to Bournemouth at home. So it'll be interesting to see how they line up for this one. And considering Luton's coming to town again, they would think, come on guys, we can't lose 3 straight home games. So they would want to put out a good show and at least give the fans something to cheer about. So I'm going to go for a Wolverhampton win. It'll be tight, but I'm thinking Wolverhampton will be able to come out with a win. And then Everton versus Brentford. Everton will be buoyed by that win against Liverpool. They will be buzzing. So I think this game, they would have too much for Brentford. Brentford, good results in their last game against Sheffield. But this one, I think they would definitely win. They would definitely, not against Sheffield. Was it Sheffield? I think it was Luton actually. So yeah. But I think Everton will be too strong for Brentford, unless they don't turn up. But I know they know what's at stake. I think if they win this one, they will definitely be safe. If they win this one, they will definitely, cement their spot in the league for next season. So yeah, I think they would go ahead and win. Everton would win. Then we have Aston Villa versus Chelsea. Aston Villa are still fighting for top 4. I mean, they're in the driver's seat right now. So you would imagine they would want to make sure that that is sealed, signed, and delivered if they can beat Chelsea at home, which I think they can. And I'm going to go for an Aston Villa win. An Aston Villa win in this one against Chelsea. Chelsea, after that bad performance against Arsenal, would want to make sure they make amends. But is it going to be enough going to Aston Villa when Aston Villa are in such rich vein of form? Would they be able to break them down and get the result that they want? And they will be hoping that their main talisman, Cole Palmer, is back for this one, so we can help them in that middle of the park. So yeah, I'm going still to go for an Aston Villa win because of what's at stake for them. They want to qualify for the Champions League and they're well and truly nearly there. So they would want to win that game. Then we have Bournemouth versus Brighton. Bournemouth versus Brighton. Brighton, a very poor showing against Manchester City. just yesterday, but you cannot blame them really because they have quite a number of players out for that game. They had Mitoma still out. They have Ferguson who's out. They have Estupinan. They have Solimarch. They have quite a number of people who would normally be in the starting lineup to help them cause any upset. Yeah, so I still think because of these number of players out and Bournemouth are playing well, and Solanke especially is fighting for that golden boot with the rest of them, so he will probably want to make sure that he gets himself on the score sheet. And you know what that means when he gets himself there? Bournemouth usually win, so I'm thinking that they would win as well. Then we have the big one for the weekend, the North London Derby. The North London Derby. Arsenal versus Tottenham. Or it's the other way around actually, because it's at the Tottenham ground. So it's Tottenham versus Arsenal. Yeah. And this game, Tottenham haven't played for, I think it's like 12 to 15 days now. They haven't played because of them not being in the FA Cup and their opponents being in the FA Cup. So they've had a lot of time to, prepare themselves for this game. But Arsenal, on the other hand, who are sitting top of the table at the minute, know what's at stake here. So this game is going to be very, very, very crucial for both teams. Tottenham fighting for 4th position, Arsenal fighting for the league. So you would imagine, especially the rivalry between both teams, you would expect Tottenham to pose a big, big threat in this game. And I think they will. But I'm still going to go for an Arsenal win. It might be a very slim win, but I'm going to go for an Arsenal win. As long as the boys turn up, they will win that game against Tottenham. Yeah. And then we have Nottingham Forest versus Man City. This is the one everyone will be glued to, especially if you're the opposition fan, if you're Liverpool or if you're an Arsenal fan. You'll be hoping that Nottingham Forest can, cause them so much problems, cause Manchester City so much problems. And, the last year they drew when they went to this ground, but this time it's a different proposition. It wasn't that early in the season. This time it's late in the season, and City seem to be ready for the fights. They know what's at stake for them as well. If they win all their games from now to the end of the season, they win the league. That's it. Simple as that. So they know what's at stake, but they know that there will be teams prepared to make sure that doesn't happen, starting with Forest. But I think that City will probably just be too strong for Forest. They might go away with a slim win as well. It might be a 2-1 or 1-0 kind of win, but I think Manchester City would win the game. And then we have the midweek game for next week, which is a Thursday. It's a game in hand. So Chelsea will be playing Tottenham. That will be a very, very interesting game as well, guys. And I think it'll be difficult to call, especially depending on what's happened at the weekend. If Tottenham's lost at the weekend, they would want to make sure they get back to winning ways. If Chelsea's lost at the weekend, they would also want to make sure they get back to winning ways. So that one will be a tough one. So at the minute, I'm going to sit on a draw for that one, because I am sure that both teams will probably lose their first games coming into this one, and then they will try and make sure they try and win, and then both teams will end up in a draw. Yeah, so that brings us to the end of the review for the preview for the games for game week 35. What are your thoughts? Who do you think is going to win this league, guys? Who do you think? Let us hear your thoughts in the comment section. Bye for now, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Don't miss out on grand football.